Take two.
Alrighty, let's combine two. I missed.
Would that be synergistic integration?
I think so.
Okay.
More so than symbiotic. It's not living off one another. Although
Okay.
maybe it could be.
Alrighty.
I don't know. We'll have to discuss that with an English professor. Bob, your journalistic things from IU are coming out in you.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, the one point I missed with this is if you're shooting flash, either with an autofocus lens or with any of the manual focus lenses, in the menu you can set it up to be just like it was in an old manual focus camera, where it's the most open aperture and it gives you a bright look at what it is you're photographing, and it amplifies so much it's actually better than what a traditional camera would be. So both indoors and particularly on the A77 outdoors, the EVFs are just really a tremendous thing for both its flexibility, its ability to use any manufacturer's lenses, and just numerous things. I'm not a tech geek guy by any means, so you know, there'll be people, oh, what about mic inputs here, what about this, what about that, what about, and I see, you know, for me, I wanted a collection of cameras that, God willing, I can get well enough to go on out and photograph professionally again, that it's there, I'm capable, and I'm set up to do virtually anything. Now that we've discussed these, this is the camera that really amazes me more than anything. It's the most professional camera that Sony makes, is their SLT technology. And this is my 300 Tokina ATX, and we shot it and kind of compared it against Bob's 300 Nikkor ED, and boy, it's every bit as sharp. And because of the phase detection that's on it, and it's still a superior phase detection to the phase detection that's on the chips right now, that translucent mirror doesn't just reflect up the image, you know, with a little bit of light loss. People will say mathematically a third to a half of the stop, but again, it's something we've both tested. I don't find even a tenth of a stop of light loss. I don't understand where people come with things. I think that there are things that are emotional in the camera business. At any rate, my 77, this was at the end, I bought it at the end of its life cycle. It was this $799 camera. It shoots 12 frames per second, and it locks on so fast. It's every bit as fast as it would be with if I had the Pro line Nikkor. It's actually faster than the Canon. It's faster than anything out there. And you can take something. I prefer not to have things that have internal motors with them. This has a really beefy drive motor in the A77, and it also, because of that phase detection, just locks on. And I mean, you could just shoot any pro anything with it. And you know, here you've got a lens that I was really blessed that it didn't cost me the $700 that is what the market is for this lens, but that's even dirt cheap. If I were to buy a new Sony 300, it's $7,000 for that lens. The same thing if I were to go new on anything else. Even used Nikon in a manual focus, I think it's like $1,100 or $1,200 in this 300 range, and they really are very, very competitive. And I'm not going to say that about every Taquina lens, but this is just really one nice fine piece of glass. The other thing is, you know, you get full grips on these things. Things like if you want to take your white balance or you want to take your exposure compensation, they're set up so that you can do things a lot quicker on this type of a camera. And the other real nice thing is you can shoot it like you're shooting a medium format camera, like a Rolleiflex, looking down on top of it. You can turn it around and take videos of yourself. To 6400, I get really excellent results in ISO. I'll say usable. You know, if you really want to pixel peak, you know, you might bounce that down to 3200. Up in some of the horse pictures that I shot that are up there with a 3000, I shot at 12,800 ISO, and they looked like they were shot at 100 ISO. You can literally see the specks of dust from individual specks of dust from the horse's hoofs on those cameras. So with them going to CMOS sensors, and so that everyone knows, I think Sony has 17 or 18% of the entire world market on sensors. And as Bob pointed it out to me, you know, now that it has a separate black in it, it just makes the resolution stand out that much more instead of mixing the three primary colors for it. That's one thing, and there are just so many things that they've done. You know, it's staggering to think back in the film days when, you know, the rage was the 800 speed with Fujifilm was the thing that knocked Kodak out of the box, and how many years it's taken. And in the 5 years, I committed to Sony in 2009, and in the 5 years that I've seen them come on board, I've seen them do more than any other manufacturer. And that's not to say, you know, I see some interesting things coming out of Fuji, I see some interesting things coming out of Panasonic. Samsung's another manufacturer that's making sensors and that's making an impact. So, you know, it will be real interesting to see where the market does go. I know that even though Sony has its financial difficulties and you know, had some disappointments in the cell phone business this quarter, and in some other things prior to that, their photo imaging is just doing gangbusters. And you know, it looks like 4K is going to finally hit broadcast in the next year or two, and when that hits there, they're really positioned in a place to be competitive on the television marketplace. And I believe as a corporation they're going to become more balanced as well. So this is my yay rah Sony thing, but it's hard not to respect a company that does so many things so well. And it's so nice to have professional friends of mine that, you know, that have looked at, well, Bob bought the one camera for me that I wound up buying two more of later on, because I'd rather live with a little bit less viewfinder and have better pictures. And there are an awful lot of people. God knows a number of full-time professionals that have gone. I can tell you, to about 200 millimeters, the smaller body cameras are marvelous. If you're going to be shooting 300 or more, which in my mind's eye, I don't see why you wouldn't use a crop sensor. makes more sense. It's giving you more reach out of your lenses. Anyhow, you're better off to be over here. Up to 200 millimeters, you can pretty well handle even the smaller bodies. I hope that this has been helpful to you, and just wanted to say thanks to everyone. Good to be back.